isn't, right? Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimping and get you right back on your mission, right? For you hoes, this that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for fun. They mash for hours, hooker baths, not showers. Bright and early, down and dirty for the cash and power. They gotta get the cash, the towers, and reach it all to a pimp. In my position, I'm all but exempt. These bras not wimps, I'm like them renegade bitches. BFFs with tricks but never getting paid riches. Grenade bitches, they dynamite, blowing up on the pimpin' and missing when the time is right. But when they life gets strife, they see pimpin' shining bright, but they action is life without. Bitch, one strike, you out. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. See, that's the difference, nigga. The pimpin' mashing for these riches, nigga. Nothing like you master magician niggas. Smoking mirrors with your game, hella extras to reflect the opposite appearance of a lame. Bitches coming from y'all, I can't rock with those. Tender-footed and rooted in them doctor shows. Soft shoe rituals, minute residuals. Papers on life support, your loots and critical. Something I learned about when running my earned route and working with turnouts is murdering burnouts. Cause knocking one of you niggas for a scar bitch, that's knocking one of you niggas for some garbage. I'm heartless regardless, empty with sympathy, but banked up to the max with pimpathy. No remedy for me, I'm like this. My life is vice grip, synced in permanent ink. You can't rewrite this. My blood type is P positive, beautifully deposited with a lot of it. I'm popping this shit, and when I pop it so hard I make a trapping ass bad bitch wanna hoe hard. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. Come on, pimpin', man, pop that shit. Show these sucker niggas they can't stop that shit. Let these hookers know if they wanna cop that shit. Treat the bag like it's hot, bitch, and drop that shit. And to you hoes, if you ever took a loss, bitch, show these bitches how to bounce back like a boss, bitch. Let them know that the best way to floss, bitch, is reach that paper to some pimpin' hoe and toss it. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga, can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. All right. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and tapping in with a pimp. Y'all already know what to do, man. Wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. But let me do something real quick and I'll be right back probably in less than 60 seconds. Y'all stay right there. But in the meantime, once again, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button. It's one of them joints right here, man, that you play when you feeling down on your ism ride. Play this shit right here and resuscitate your pimping and get you right back on your mission, ride. For you hoes, just that shit you play when you ain't feeling like super hoe today. Play this shit right here and spark up your hoeing and get you right back going, you dig? Dig this. Pimps for real, don't mistake it for fashion. The turf that birthed my reputation for mashing was the track with active, attractive hoes. Professional goers that attract the dough. Like magnets to metal, never settle. We scorching them fag bitches pedal for them portions. My whores win it all. Not the ones on the sideline wishing but didn't ball in the guidelines. My bitches did it all. Down 7 below in the snow for dough. Over 120 in the sun for fun. They mash for hours, hooking baths, not showers. Bright and early, down and dirty for the cash and power. They gotta get the cash, the towers, and reach it all to a pimp. In my position, I'm all but exempt. These bras not wimps, I'm like them renegade bitches. BFFs with tricks but never getting paid riches. Grenade bitches, they dynamite, blowing up on the pimpin' and missing when the time is right. But when they life gets strife, they see pimpin' shining bright, but they action is life without. Bitch, one strike you out. Can't stop, won't stop. Poppin' pimpin', nigga. Can't stop, won't stop. Smashing on these bitches, nigga. Can't stop. Okay, and we right back at it. Yeah, man. Once again, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Hit that like button. Let me do a couple things right quick so we can be ready. Y'all already know my first order of business, man. Gots to hydrate my game. Gots to put some love in my body. Yeah, we gonna chop some good game today as usual, man. Hopefully everybody is having a blessed Friday. I know I am. Okay. Oh, man. O'Shea came through and made a pimp rich, boy. Man. Look at O'Shea coming through. O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back at it again. Good looking with the 50 bands of Ugandan money. Yeah, man. Shit, I go buy me that futon I've been wanting now, man. Shit, you know, Pimp ain't got no bed in here, man. I'm doing bad, man. You know, Shay made it where, you know, I could take these 50 Ugandan bands, man. Now I can get that futon I always wanted, man. Work my way up to the twin bed, then from the twin bed to the queen size, then from the queen size to the king, then from the king to the California king. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. But good looking. Now I can make it happen. Brother Tyler, good looking with the $2 holla. Tyler always consistent coming through, man. But yeah, said that's 2 coconuts. Correct vision, you stupid. Hey, man, I might be able to trade them 2 coconuts for a futon, man. Shit, I'm on, man. I'm going to make it work. You know, Pimp got game, man. I'm going to wheel and deal and make it happen, you dig? Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. Now, so we're going to chop some game about whether or not you can love and trust these women, man. Can women be loved and trusted in 2026? You dig now? It's a brother. Hold up, let me before I say his name incorrectly. Give me just a second. But it's a brother who did a video saying that he feels sorry for the young dudes. And he feels sorry for the young dudes because, you know, more than likely they'll never know what it feels like to truly love a woman and think that that woman loves you just as much as you love her. Big Ward, the genius. That's the brother's name. And we gonna go check him out. See what he got to say. Okay. So yeah, the title of his video is I Feel Sorry for Young Men, but basically he's going to talk about how the reason why he feels sorry for young men is because he believes that young men won't ever know what it feels like to believe that a woman loves you unconditionally, right? So let's see what Big Ward, the genius, is talking about. You dig? Shout out to him. Okay. Here we go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Today is still...
I'm tripping. Man. And y'all was just gonna let me continue, man. Y'all was just gonna let a pimp just carry on and not hydrate my game one time, huh? Y'all was gonna let it slip a pimp's mind, man. Y'all cold-blooded. I thought y'all was my family, man. Thought y'all was my peoples, man. Let me go ahead and hydrate my game. And I seen Big Ward before. I can't remember like what specific video, but he done popped up in my algorithm before. And he seemed to be a wise, level-headed OG. Not like some of these suckers. You know, you got some quote-unquote OGs that be on some sucker shit, man. But Big Ward seemed like a real one, you dig? So shout out to him. But cheers to the game. Big Ward country as hell, man. Y'all crazy. It's all right, though, man. You know, country people be having some very good characteristics that a lot of people in other parts of the country ain't got. So shout out to the South, you dig? But yeah, let's continue with Big Ward.
Friday, April 17th, 2026. Back with another episode. Thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I'm about to step out on the town for a little while. Really not going anywhere in particular, just hitting the block, clearing my head, drop the top and ride through the city. Not looking for nothing or nobody, just chilling. And as you can see, as usual, I'm by myself. Once upon a time, it wasn't like that. It would be me and whoever the woman I was with at the time would be riding solo with. Not solo, but you know. And whatever I riding in, not necessarily this car, but just in general. And I would still prefer that it be like that, but it can't be. All right, y'all, let's try this again. I had to move to a whole nother spot because of YNs pull up on the side. One of them got the poop shiesty mask on, the ski mask. Man, the car nice. What year is it? I just caught the car and pulled it off. No, seriously. If you look at the background before I came back, I'm in a totally different spot.
Yeah, he's definitely right. You know, you can see the background. He in a different spot. It looked like he was in front of like a Wendy's that was at a gas station or something at first. But hey, man, to the YNs, you know, and shout out to the YNs too. You did. I don't even like using that term. Shout out to the young cats, man. I don't even like that term YNs. I don't know, something about it. It ain't something that I normally use. I just used it because I was repeating what he said. But yeah, I don't really like the term YNs. But the young cats, the young brothers, right? Shout out to them. But hey, man, as you gonna hear him say in just a second, you know, he got the heat on him. He always keep the heat on him. Hey, man, you know, see a lot of young cats right now, they kind of was like growing up. They was coming of age during the pandemic, and the pandemic fucked up the world in a way where it made it cool to just ride around with your face masked up and shit like that, you know. And so nowadays you can't really tell what somebody is on. See, before the pandemic, if a motherfucker pull up on you with their face masked up with the poo shiesty on or a rag over their face or whatever, you know, you kind of can guarantee if they was on some bullshit. But nowadays, you got a lot of YNs that just like doing that shit. They just like riding around with the poo shiesty on, even when they ain't up to no good. But what you got to understand is somebody like Big Ward, he come from a time where if a nigga 9 times out of 10, they about to get busy on you. They about to get down on you. So OG gonna stay ready. So I say all that as a young cat, it can be very dangerous for you to pull up on, especially an OG like him with the poo shiesty on, but you just chilling, but you masked up and you in a car full of your homeboys and shit like that. It can be very ugly. You know what I mean? FYI, but let's continue.
I want to make this video before I go out so to have time to upload before the night over. Some young dudes, they were just like in the American. I don't trust them. Like, you got a ski mask on, dude. But a lot of times, them youngsters, they wear that kind of stuff. But I ain't taking no chance with no YN. I told y'all I'm paranoid. I keep the heat with me. They looked and saw the heat, then bagged off a little bit. And I pulled off. I don't know what the hell y'all got going on. But not tonight. Not me.
Big Ward said, not tonight. Big Ward said he might go one night, but tonight ain't gonna be the night, you know what I mean? And I ain't mad at him, you know. Like he said, you can't take no chances. Like, and then, you know, niggas be on bullshit. Niggas will try to charm and disarm you like that. Like, oh man, that car nice, man. We'll do. Next thing you know, they got the thing in your face, telling you to give up everything, right? You know, I'm sure after they took notice to the car and seen him in the car by himself, they see he jeweled up and all that type of shit. You know, they figure he probably might got a bankroll on him. You know, they size motherfuckers up quickly and, you know, assess the situation and determine quickly whether or not they gonna move on it, right? Like he said, he got the heat just right there on display with the top down, so you can look at, as soon as you see him, you're gonna see the heat right there by the I know center console. That's before center console was even a thing, you dig? But right there by him on the seat, I'm pretty sure, you know, he probably got the look like he got the bucket seats and shit like that. But yeah, man, you know, yeah, you know, you playing a dangerous game pulling up on an OG like that. But let's continue.
I ain't coming this far being stupid. So yeah, I'm in another spot. Let me start over. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
Hold on, because y'all saying the audio is choppy. Let me just make sure I ain't got no unnecessary apps open, man, because I'm pretty sure I don't. Because sometimes that'll be the cause of that. That ain't really nothing, but let me just close it anyway. All right, let's continue.
Now, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by the YNs, looking like they was up to something shady. See, I got my spider senses. I just look like this. I'm a hood dude. I see the play. So here I am. I ain't got time to even sit there with y'all.
But see, you saying you a hood dude and you see the play, but see, this just me. This just me, right? He said he out on the town, so I would imagine it might be like a Friday or Saturday night. It might not be though. Whatever night of the week it is though, right? Just me personally. I'm not gonna be sitting in a car, a convertible car with the top down by myself at night in an open area like that with a bunch of jewelry on, even with the heat on me. Cause as we know, I'm sure y'all know certain individuals just like me who got, took up out of here with that thing on them. So just because you got the thing on you don't mean that you're going to make it home in one piece. You dig? So you kind of make yourself a target sitting around like that. That's just me. And then not just that, but like I've had like bad experiences, not necessarily with dudes trying to do something to me, but honestly just with the police. Like that's why I don't like sitting in one spot for too long, in a like how he's doing. I don't like sitting in open areas, well lit areas, you know what I mean, too long just sitting in the car, because a lot of times when I do that, the police come harass me and fuck with me for no reason. Like they just find a way to fuck with me. So, but not just that, but as we also know, we've seen so many situations where dudes get unalived making videos in their car, so I'm cool on that type of shit. But let's continue.
But as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted again. Normally I would be riding, and I would have, back in the day, I remember a time where I had a lady friend, my girlfriend, or my ex-wife, what have you. During the time, I was able to live during a time where men still believe that his woman on side of him loved him. So therefore, he was able to love her without being afraid that she wasn't game. I can remember a time, whether 20, 30, how many years ago it was. I remember a time, because nowadays, we have reached a point in society, especially dating, the dynamic between men and women. Men refuse to fall in love anymore. And the ones that are still gullible like that, they learn in the hard way. That's the wrong thing to do nowadays. This is a cold-hearted world. More and more men are waking up to the realization that 99% of these women don't love you. I don't think they're capable of truly loving a man. I think the only one, I've said this before 1,000 times, the only people that a woman is capable of loving unconditionally is her children. And sometimes they love their own kids. I know that personally. But it's not possible for a woman to love a man unconditionally. If she tells you she loves you, if she got feelings for you, if she care for you any kind of way, cause something you don't want for her. We know that now, right? But once upon a time, I was blessed, cause I'm gonna call it a blessing. I was blessed to be able to come up during a time when we didn't know that.
So for those of y'all who saying that his audio is choppy, man, basically what he's saying is that nowadays, men are waking up to the realization that you can't love a woman because these women are incapable of loving you unconditionally, right? And he's saying that fortunately for him, he was able to come up in a time where he knows what it feels like to believe that a woman loves you unconditionally. And he calls it a blessing, even though he thinks that even when he thought that a woman could love him unconditionally, he was foolish for thinking that way. He was naive for thinking that way. But it felt good to believe that his woman loved him unconditionally, even though I guess now with the mindset that he has now, he believes that it was never true that a woman could love him unconditionally, right? So this is what he's saying. And then he went on to say that the only people that a woman is capable of truly loving unconditionally is her children, right? So I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna let him talk a little bit more though.
What, big boy? You call it a blessing to not know that woman don't really love you? Yeah, it was a blessing. Because believe it or not, truly every man want to be able to let his guard down. Every man want to be able to be vulnerable and love that woman with all his heart. He want to be able to do that. Because believe it or not, ladies, and the real men that vouch for me, there's no better feeling in the world for a man to have a woman that he believes he's safe to love her. Because we want to love her.
So then he's saying, every man wants to be able to let his guard down with a woman. Every man wants to be able to be vulnerable with a woman, right? So this is what he's saying. So we have this here, and then it's something else. Hold on. It's something else that I want to go to as well. Give me just a second to find it. In the meantime, if you have not wiped your feet off at the door when you stepped into a pimp's domain, please do so now, and thank you. Hit that like button, man. I don't know why my computer is running kind of slow. That might have something to do with why the audio is choppy, but okay, I was trying to find somebody in here know his name, man. What's the name of that dude that say, like, if I'm not mistaken, I think he said something like, if a man don't make, I think he said 300,000 or it was a certain amount of money that he was saying that like if a man don't make this much money, then a woman shouldn't be with him, and he be saying a bunch of wild shit, but basically he be like, I don't want to use the term worship, but like he kind of like, I guess you can say that he like worship the ground his woman walk on. He be buying his wives, or I don't know if he got one wife or multiple. I can't remember, but he be wearing like the dashikis and shit. What's Yada? There we go. That's the dude name, Yada. I was trying to remember his name. See, I be getting him mixed up because I knew his name was something like that. But you got Yaki Awakening, and Yaki Awakening is the dude on the health shit, and this dude's name is Yada Awakening, so his name is similar. me just find. Hold up. Because I wanted to show y'all this because his ideology is kind of like the polar opposite of Big Ward. So
Man, how can we look at this woman and not see God?
hold on. So this is Yada Awakening, right? Let's see what he's talking about.
Man, how can we look at this woman and not see God as a demon, man? And let me say this to you, brothers. A lot of you have spoken devil over your life, man. You guys went from being a dog to being a beast to being a savage. Now you're on demon time. This is what you speaking over your life. You consist of trillions of cells, and you telling your cells you a demon?
Damn.
Come on, man. The art of manifestation. Words are powerful. In the beginning was the word. Man, how can we look at this woman and not see God? And the only...
I'm trying to find something where he like, hold on, let me just see. Damn, my computer moving slow as hell. What is up with that? God damn. Nah, he said something about toxic masculinity. Damn. Hold on. Matter of fact, let's just go back to that real quick. Hold on. I know this man didn't. Then again, niggas don't never cease to amaze me, so. Nigga said something about toxic masculinity. Anytime I hear a guy say some shit like that, red flag. Red flag. Y'all got to forgive me, man. I got the Colombian dial-up connection right now. You know what I mean? I thought I had a 5G, 6G signal.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real thing. Real life street stars. You know what time it is. Real life street stars, man. Hold up. Yeah.
Crazy.
We got her back in the building, man. I think at this point we can consider you alumni.
Oh, praises.
You know what I mean?
I'm honored, brother. I'm honored.
You know, I hate that you have to come back under these circumstances. You got called out a little bit on the channel, but we gotta address some shit. But you know, we don't want to start off with the negative. We gonna start off with the positive, man. Yada, how's it been going since you left our last interview? I've been seeing you do nothing but turn up.
Oh, praises.
I mean, you've been going crazy. You've been selling your products.
Okay.
I see you in debates, heated debates. I see you schooling these men how to be a man and not being, you know. So first and foremost, how have you been?
So first, let me give a prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. May God speak through us all, and may those in our digital audience, may this awaken and touch our hearts and elevate your minds. But to answer your question, I've been great. You know, I just gave birth to my beautiful son, my beautiful wife. You know, we deliver our own children. So my life is thriving. We're global. You know, our products are going global. We have our ministry, Crowning Covenant, where we elevate in the minds and bodies and hearts of the women and elevate men as well. You know, because a lot of people think men just don't rock with me, but there's a lot of brothers.
Cool. I'm glad they got this
that do agree
broken
with
up
me.
into chapters because I can go straight to the part that I'm looking for.
Oh, them children ain't happy because it's the estrogen and the men that's going against their natural nature of provision. So now they're looking at me as the enemy because I'm showing them in real time what it means to be a man. And when they see this, they look at themselves and say, oh man, he he ain't it for real. I'm it for real, even though they can't do nothing for nobody.
Shout out the chat. We have Awesome Mommy, I think it is. She said, what does he think the solutions are?
Solutions to what?
That's a good question. I don't know what. I guess what maybe she's asking, what do you think the solutions to men being men and not harboring feelings toward people trying to give the right instructions?
So let me talk to the sister. First and foremost, women have to stop catering to men and stop lowering their standards to be with men that they say they love, or the men say they love you, but they take you through all types of ups and downs and hells. I need you to understand who you are at a biological level, because you are divinely supreme. And I need you to understand this as well. A lot of men are so quick to scream that women are emotional, women shouldn't be leaders, women are too moody, but in truth, women, I need you to hear the science. So when a man comes to you saying you're too emotional, you're unfit to lead, you tell them, I have a corpus callosum, and this is a bridge in your brain that's thicker than the bridge inside the male's brain, and it connects the left and right hemisphere. So you can go from logical to emotional, from emotional to logical, because God wired you to be able to maneuver when things get high emotionally, because you give birth to children. Now in men are only emotional or they're logical. They can't bounce back and forth naturally unless they learned it, because their corpus callosum is more thinner than inside the woman. So ladies,
I'm doing my best to not be biased here, man, but man, this dude, man, he I hope he got some knee pads on, man, so he don't bruise his knees up doing all this bowing down to the bitch, man. Like, god damn. This man is on his knees, you know, as Simple the P would say, man, having praise and worship service for the bitch, man. Golly. But he's saying that because of women having a thicker corpus callosum, whatever that shit is, that it gives women a greater capability to go from being logical to emotional and back and forth fluidly, right? And he's saying that men don't have that same capability. And the way I'm interpreting it is that he's basically saying that women they have a greater capacity to lead than men do, because men can only be either emotional or logical. And I guess he's saying that men don't have the capability to balance logic and emotion the way that women do. I mean, it sounds great, but you know, theory is one thing, actuality is another thing. But let's continue a little bit more, man.
I need you to stop lowering your standards. And if you have children and you're single parents, don't overly love your sons. If he falls, allow him to get himself up. Don't run over there and dusting him off every time he falls, because he will grow up believing a woman is supposed to come to his aid every time he fails. So you want to know what the real solution to the problem is? The rules of nature. Let the weak die out. You women are procreating with weakness. That's why when you get pregnant, they abandon you. When you get pregnant, they abuse you. When you get a little money, they want to take it from you. They try to weaponize your children against you when you don't want to be with them. Stop procreating with weak men, because in nature, God says you only procreate with strength. Because
man, this is interesting, man. Like, you know, shout out to this guy, because he has a beautiful imagination. I wish, and you know, I thought my imagination was cool, you know, like I thought that I could create certain things in my mind that was just like phenomenal. But this guy, he just painted a picture that was just like, I didn't even know was possible for a man to paint in his mind. This man just said that guys weaponize children against women. And it's not to say that that is impossible or that it never happens, but he's saying that in a way to insinuate that, like, there's just a lot of guys that weaponize children against women. When it's like, if a man has a child with a woman out of wedlock, 9 times out of 10 off top, the woman got the leverage. So I don't see how men, you know, at least at an alarming rate, are weaponizing children against women, when if the woman want to be on some bullshit when she have the baby, you know, she can do certain things to make it real hard for you as the father. So, and we see this all the time, unfortunately, especially in the black community, where women are the ones weaponizing the children against the man. And I'm not trying to, you know, go tit for tat. I'm just calling a spade a spade. But I'm, like I said, his imagination is phenomenal, because where did you come up with this, sir? Like, where did you get this movie from, man? Like, I want to watch this movie too, man. Like, where did you get this from? Where'd you come up with this story, man? Man, shit crazy. We're going to listen to him a little bit more, though.
Actually, the weakness will die out. This is the solution, ladies. You raise the bar. You set the standards. Men can only do what you allow us to do.
That's deep, because you know, like, I work with
Then the host gonna encourage this nigga, like, that's deep. Oh man.
a lot of Indian women, right? Because I'm an engineer.
Okay.
And it's funny because they're attracted to nerds, pretty much, what they would call nerds, smart. So like their husbands be engineers, successful. Mm-hmm. So you're basically saying if the black woman as a whole raised their standard and said, hey, I'm going to require a level of education, I'm going to require this, that is the solution to changing.
If she says, first, the education is good, but if she says, I require you to be able to understand and utilize emotional intelligence.
What does that look like? What does emotional intelligence look like?
When a man can look at his woman and before she says something out of her mouth, by her body language, he did, oh man, I must have did something wrong. Let me backtrack. Oh baby, I know I said this hurt your feelings. I apologize. Most men are unable to come back to the women that they say they love and say, baby, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If a man is unable to come to an understanding that he did something wrong to hurt the person that he loves feelings and apologize, if he doesn't do that, he doesn't process or understand or utilize emotional intelligence.
Okay, so I wanted to show you these two examples because they're like I said again, these two guys, this dude Yada and you know the brother here, Big Ward, they have polar opposite opinions about, you know, relationships between men and women. On this side, you have Big Ward's basically saying that a woman is incapable of loving a man unconditionally. And even though he doesn't say that, Big Ward gives the impression that he believes that men are capable of loving a woman unconditionally, in spite of women not being able to do the same thing and reciprocate that, right? Then on this side, you have this Yada dude basically saying that the men are the ones that's falling short and women need to raise their standards and stop dealing with weak men who don't have emotional intelligence, and men aren't capable in the way that women are when it comes to being a leader, and all this different stuff. So basically what it is, man, it's like on this side you have this guy Yada pretty much presenting it as though women can do no wrong. Women are infallible. That's the takeaway that I have from the Yada dude. Women, they just, they can't do no wrong. Big Ward, on the other hand, what I take from him is that, women do all the wrong. And Big Ward he's not giving the vibe that he believes that men can do no wrong. He's just putting a lot of emphasis on the wrong that comes from the woman, right? But he ain't just trying to make it seem like men can do no wrong and women do all the wrong. He not coming off like that. He's just basically saying that, women are incapable of loving you as a man unconditionally, right? So I just wanted to share both of these guys' views before I, give my take on the situation. You dig? Let me see. Shout out to Super one time before we continue. Game is infinite. Good looking with the $20 holla. Rest in peace, Sinful to P. Get Freeze's likes up immediately. You heard the man. Wipe your feet off at the door while you are in a pimp's domain. Really, when you step through the pimping's door of the domain, wipe your feet off at the door. You dig? But yeah, man, hit that like button if you haven't already. But, okay, so this is my thing, right? Now, do I believe that, women are incapable of loving unconditionally? I have a different perspective on that. And then do I believe that, women need to raise their standards and they just can't do no wrong, and they're better fit to balance emotion and logic than men? I have a different perspective on that too, right? See, from Big Ward's perspective, right? He makes it seem like men are just like hopeless romantics. Like men want to be vulnerable to a woman. Men want to just be, able to let their guard down and things like that when it comes to dealing with a woman. This is the thing though, right? You can love a woman, you can love anybody, but you just don't want to love blindly to the point where you just forget that this is a human being. Because that's what you got to understand at the end of the day, right? We all human beings and none of us are perfect. So there's no such thing as a woman just, loving you perfectly, because that's kind of, even though he doesn't use those words, that's kind of what I take away from what Big Ward is saying. When he says unconditionally, I interpret that as perfectly, a woman loving you perfectly. But this the thing though, man, people are people. People are human beings. And if you set your hopes too high, human beings, even the closest person to perfect, is going to disappoint you at some point in time. And you don't want to just love blindly or be naive, because think about yourself. Like I say all the time, the golden rule: do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, right? And just think about yourself as a human being. Like, again, and I mentioned this yesterday and I say it again, there's women that are no longer in my life that I still love, right? But that love doesn't make me blind. That love doesn't make me foolish. That love doesn't prompt me to move ignorantly based on it, right? I'm not gonna just be a fool about this woman because I love her. No, you know, I've had 304s leave me and go to some other pimping or another man or what have you, and you know, still love the woman, but not be tripping on the fact that she's with another man, and in fact, you know, cool with the fact that she's happy with another man. You know, because I got love for this woman, so I'm happy that she's happy. You dig? That's still love though. And, you know, even in spite of me loving a woman, you know, I might, you know, do some things imperfectly. I might, you know, make a mistake or something like that. You know, so on the same token, you know, women are capable of doing the same thing. And then not just that, man, but like I said, you just can't be blind with it. You know, because you don't want to be rigid when you're dealing with a woman. You know, all that vulnerability and shit, you know, I don't even like that terminology. Being vulnerable with a woman, letting your guard down, all that type of, I don't even like that terminology. What you can do is position a woman to earn your trust. You know, some guys, and it kind of seems like Big Ward is one of those guys. You know, they just believe that you just can't trust a woman at all for anything. You know, and you know, see, this is the thing too, right? Like, dudes be thinking that, okay, I love this woman unconditionally, she love me unconditionally, everything just gonna be all good. But see, if you had that type of mindset, you gonna do certain things on accident that's gonna provoke certain things in a woman because it's a woman and they're emotional, right? You know, so that's just like, for instance, again, I've had ladies that have been in my life that I loved, right? And while we was rocking together, I love this woman, I trust this woman, and I don't give a damn what nobody say, but when you involve yourself with a woman, you're entrusting her with so many things. You entrusting her with your life, you entrusting her with your freedom, because when you lay down and go to sleep with a woman, you're trusting that she ain't gonna do something to you while you sleep. If you allow her into your home, or if you live with a woman and she learns so many things about you by living with you, or just, you know, being, you know, at your place on a regular basis, even if y'all don't live together, you know, by her knowing where you lay your head at, you entrusting her with your freedom, right? So a lot of dudes will say that they don't trust a woman, but not understanding that there's so many things that you're doing that, you know, you're granting her, you know, a certain level of trust. But even though I may trust a woman like that, I'm never gonna let a bitch go through my phone. At the same time, I'm not going through her phone, right? But you know, you got a lot of women that think that type of shit is cool, you know, and you got some women that'll have a problem if you don't allow them to go through your phone. Me, I'm never having a bitch that think she gonna be able to go through my phone. But like I said, at the same time, I'm not gonna go through your phone, because even though we love each other and shit like that, we rocking and all that, you know, everybody need their privacy. Everybody needs their privacy. And because I'm somebody who values my privacy, I'm going to value your privacy as well. And just like because of that, I don't want you to invade in my privacy. I'm not going to invade in your privacy. You dig? So that's just an example of, you know, loving somebody, but not just like in trusting somebody, but not trusting them blindly. Right? Because I might not have anything to hide in my phone. But if I allow this chick to just freely, you know, have the liberty to go through my phone when she want to, how she want to, where she want to, and all that type of shit, you know, she might make something out of nothing. Right? I truly believe, like, I ain't got nothing to hide in my phone, so, you know, she can go through it if she want to, but she will go in there and find something and make something out of nothing. And the same thing with you as a man. You know, she might trust you to go on her phone. And you go in there and she feel like she ain't got nothing to hide, but you see some shit in there and you misinterpret something, or you see something and you think it is what it ain't and all that type of shit. It just sets things up for unnecessary drama. Right? But that's just one example. And this is the thing too, right? When it comes to love, because like I've told y'all before, this is something that I came to the realization of just observing my family, right? I got a lot of marriages in my family that have lasted for a long time. Most of my uncles are gone right now, but the last two uncles that I have right now, both of them have been married to their wives for probably 50 years or longer, right? Other uncles of mine who have passed away was married to their wives for 30, 40, and 50 years, right? And like I've said before, when you a kid and you go to family functions and everybody together and you see your auntie and your uncle together, or your grandmother and grandfather together, I never had that. My grandfather on my mom's side passed away when I was probably 2 or 3 years old. And then my grandmother on my dad's side passed away before I was born. So I never got to see like grandparents together. But, whatever the case, when you see your family together, you just think they just love each other unconditionally and that they never get mad at each other. They never have disagreements. They never, get into it. They never fall out. But when you grow up and you start to learn certain things and then you have your own experiences, you realize like, damn, I know it had to be a time where my uncle was mad at my auntie, or my auntie was mad at my uncle. I know it had to be a time where my auntie cheated on my uncle, or my uncle cheated on my auntie, but they still married though, right? They still together. So that's a part of unconditional love that people don't talk about, right? Or the closest thing to unconditional love, right? That people don't talk about is the forgiveness part. A lot of people just talk about the part of, this woman violated me this way, or this man hurt me that way, and this, that, and the third. But like, what about all the good that this person did for you, right? Like, hypothetically speaking, your auntie might have cheated on your uncle, right? She might have been having an affair on your uncle, but when your uncle went and did that 10-year bid, your auntie was there every week visiting him. Your auntie made sure that he had money on his books. You know what I mean? Your auntie done bailed him out of jail before. Your auntie done, made sure he had lawyer money and all that type of shit, So it's like, that's somebody that's gonna hold you down in a time of need. When your uncle was in the hospital, sick as a dog, your auntie was by his side throughout the whole situation. Then when he came home from the hospital, she nursed him back to health. You dig? So if come to find out she cheated on him, does that mean that you just throw auntie away because she cheated? Nah. Me, myself, I'm not going to do that. Like, if I got, like, hypothetically speaking, if I'm in a square relationship, right, and I've been with this woman for years and she done held me down through, tough times and shit like that, then I find out she having an affair on me, I don't know, man, if I could just throw her away because she went and got some pipe somewhere else. Like, and then I don't think about, but then that's my pimp mind. I don't know. But, as a square, I might see things differently, man. But even as a square, I just can't see myself throwing the whole thing away just based on that, right? Because you got people who do much worse. But so yeah, man, basically you got to have a balance, because you just don't want to be so rigid and guarded to the point where when you get involved with a woman, this might be the perfect woman for you, but you basing this experience on past experiences that you've had with other women, not understanding that this is a totally different woman. Like, you know, you can't expect the same thing from this woman that you experienced from the last woman, right? You know, you gotta grant her the grace of, you know, proving who she is and showing you who she is, right? She might be better than the last women. She might be worse than the last women, but, you know, a wise person is going to allow her to show you who she is, right? Now, on the other hand, with this Yada dude, you know, he says a lot of things, man. You know, I haven't watched all of his shit, obviously. I couldn't even remember his name until somebody in the chat told me. But he's had a lot of viral videos, man, where, you know, he's saying that, you know, a woman shouldn't even deal with a man unless he makes, you know, I forget what amount of money. I don't know if it was 100,000 or 300,000 or 500,000, something like that. But he was basically saying that a woman shouldn't deal with a man unless he makes this amount of money, and that, you know, women need to raise their standards because they messing with weak men, and they need to stop procreating with weak men to let the weak men die out and all this type of shit. And it's like, what type of fantasy world are you living in? Because even if you quote unquote let all these weak men die out, guess what? Guess what you still procreating? More human beings. And just like every fingerprint is different, every human being is uniquely different. So you're going to have more weak ass human beings. That's just life. There's no such thing as a perfect world where, you know, strong people only breed with other strong people and eventually all the weak motherfuckers is going to die off. No, that's never going to happen. You always going to have weak motherfuckers just like you always going to have strong motherfuckers. And 9 times out of 10, the majority of people are going to be weak. Right? He talking about, but I'm looking at his face and, you know, he look inflamed. He look like he got inflammation going on, man. He look like he don't look like the healthiest individual in the world. I could be wrong, but he just don't look like it. You know what I mean? He don't look like he take care of himself physically like that. So that's just one example of, you know, an area he might be weak in. He might be strong financially and shit like that. And I don't know, maybe emotionally, I don't know. But see, the thing that strikes me about the Yada dude is that he never holds the mirror up to the woman. He never has, at least from what I've seen. Like I said, I ain't seen a whole lot from him, but I've seen different clips, and we just watched what he was saying right now, and I never hear him holding the woman accountable for anything, right? I never hear him, you know, giving constructive criticism to women, right? Because you can do that. You don't have to just like point the finger and just bash women like that, but you can give constructive criticism to women, at least. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't see him doing that ever at all. Like, he ain't never holding a woman accountable. He ain't never saying how women can be better. Like, and if he does say how women can be better, it has to do with, you know, how they dealing with men, like how he said women need to raise their standards. Like, but what if the woman ain't shit? See, that's why, you know, his message is flawed, because if you just say that women, like how he said, how could you not look at this woman and not see God? Right? So basically he's saying that when you look at a woman, you should automatically see God, one, and then two, they just need to raise their standards. All women just need to raise their standards. But you know, he's not talking about how a flawed woman can better themselves, right? He's not talking about how before, as a woman, you raise your standards, you need to make sure that you have yourself up to par as a woman. You know, I didn't hear any of that from him, and I've never heard any of that from him. It's okay to tell, you know, a woman to raise her standards if she got her shit together, you know, if she's on point up to par as a woman, then you could say that. But like, just to say generally women need to raise their standards, it's a lot of bitches that ain't shit, just like it's a lot of niggas that ain't shit. So you just telling all these, you know, ain't shit ass bitches this, you know, arguing with they boyfriend about how many food stamps was spent on her food stamp card, and you know, the bitch just irresponsible and ain't got her shit together. You know, her babe, she got kids scattered like the 12 tribes of Israel. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a bitch like that and you telling her to raise her standards, you know, and she calls herself doing that, then you got to make it make sense. Okay, how, like, okay, let's say you just saying in general, right? Raise your standards. And the type of woman I just described, she called herself raising her standards. And she's saying to herself, okay, in order for a man to get with me, he got to have this, he got to have that, he got to have that, so on and so forth. How does it make sense for you to be with a man like that? These standards that you have, how does it make sense for you to be with that kind of man, that caliber of man, right? And see, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with what he's saying if he broke that down. Like, okay, ladies, if you're going to call yourself having, you know, this high caliber man, then you need, as a woman, you need to have this in order, that in order, and the third in order. He makes it seem as though he's never seen a flaw in a woman at all. He makes it seem as though he's never seen a woman that just wasn't shit. You know, like all the women that he ever encountered was just, you know, like he said, how could you look at this woman and not see God? So I guess he just, every woman that he see, you know what I mean? Deadbeat mama, scandalous setup artist bitch, you know what I mean? That done had several boyfriends, robbed or unalived or whatever, you know, just all these types of bitches. He just see God in all of them. Like, you know, but like I said, you just got to understand that human beings are human beings. You know, to be fair, with Big Ward and with the Yada dude, like I said, they polar opposites as far as they outlook dealing with women in relationships, right? But you got to understand that we all human beings at the end of the day. And if you set your hopes too high dealing with any human being, even your son, your daughter, your mom, your dad, whoever, you know, it's highly likely that they're going to disappoint you at some point in time, right? It happens. So as long as you love somebody, understanding that, you just might be all right. You know, again, like I said, you know, you might have a situation where, you know, your auntie cheated on your uncle, or you might have a situation where your uncle cheated on your auntie. You know what I mean? Like, auntie find out after they've been together 10 years that uncle, you know, got an affair going on. But, you know, the uncle paid for the auntie to get through school or whatever. The uncle paid for the auntie to have her own hair salon or her own, you know, business or whatever the case may be. You know, the uncle paid her mama's medical bills when her mama was in the hospital. You know, so just because she found out that he was having an affair, you just throw uncle away? Nah. You know what I mean? That would be foolish. And that's what people don't talk about enough today. You know, they just paint these perfect hypothetical pictures of how relationships are supposed to be, and nobody talks about, okay, when you get mad at each other, how do you get beyond that and move forward together? Everybody always just talks about, oh, if they do this to you, then you need to leave their ass. If they do that to you, you need to leave their ass. If you find out he doing this, throw him away. If you find out she doing that, throw her away. You know, what about people that's worth staying down for? That, you know, you should, you know, find a solution to this issue and move forward with together. Nobody ever talks about that. You know? And you just got to pay attention to people, man. Some people just be, you know, bitter towards the opposite sex. And, you know, they just don't know how to get beyond that bitterness. You know, but I'm just the realist, I guess you could say, man. I just know all of us as human beings at some point in time are not shit. You know, as the scriptures say, no one is good, not one. Ain't none of us good. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean that you can't love somebody. It doesn't mean that you can't trust somebody. But, you know, just don't be surprised when a human being is a human being. Don't be surprised when a nigga is a nigga. Don't be surprised when a bitch is a bitch. Because at the end of the day, a bitch gonna be a bitch, a nigga gonna be a nigga, and it is what it is, man. Now I can see if somebody, like I said, you know, if somebody compromises your freedom or compromises your life, you know, that's something different. You know, but a lot of these situations that these dudes be heartbroken over when it come to dealing with women, man, it don't even be no life and death type shit. You know, a lot of dudes threw a bitch away that was a good bitch that they should have worked it out with. You know what I mean? Because they got mad at some crazy shit. That's just like, right? and I think Sinful done told y'all this story before, right? About this cat that we know. But it's this cat that we know that me and Sinful knew. And he had this bitch, right? And he found out that the bitch was fucking the weed man. He found out the bitch was fucking the weed man and he fired the bitch, right? But this was a good ass bitch though. She stayed down for him. She was trapping for him. And she wasn't bad to look at neither. She was a sexy little chocolate bitch, you know what I mean? You know, sexy little chocolate thing, you know, curvy, you know what I mean? Body out this world, you know? And she was down for him. And he found out that she was fucking the weed man, and he just threw the bitch away. He just fired the bitch. And, you know, I don't know all of, you know, how things turned out for him after that, because we didn't talk much, even before he fired the bitch, and definitely after he fired the bitch. Me and him didn't really chop it up much, but at one point in time, me and him was rocking together real close. We was pimping side by side, right? While he had this bitch. That's how I know she's a good bitch, right? But this is something too, right? We just gonna talk about, you know, we just gonna call it cheating. Whether you in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, a marriage, or, you know, pimping hoe relationship and all that type of stuff. Bitch, you know, fucking somebody on the side, whatever, right? Now, he fired the bitch because she was fucking the weed man. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Sinful told y'all this story. And I'm pretty sure, just knowing Sinful, that he told y'all what I'm about to tell you, right? But, you know, he fired this bitch for fucking the weed man. But what he's not thinking about is that he's over 400 pounds. Right? So, you know, you over 400 pounds. So, you know, you're not doing the damage in the bedroom that you should be doing and need to be doing to satisfy this woman, right? And that's the cold part about it. You know, he liked to have his fun. You know? This dude, he liked to have his fun in the bedroom, you know what I mean? He ain't one of them type of dudes that, you know, ain't going there. Nah, he like going there with the bitch. But dude, you 400 something pounds. So yeah, she might be pleasing you in the bedroom, but at 400 something pounds, sir, you're not pleasing this woman in the bedroom the way you could be pleasing her if you was a normal weight. You're not a normal weight, sir. You're the normal weight of 2 people combined in 1 person. In some cases, 3 people. You could be the size of 3 grown people. You know what I mean? Woo! I just thought about some shit, right? So this is a funny story involving T-Mac, right? So the cat that I'm talking about, this 400 something pounds, right? I had an Eldorado, Cadillac Eldorado 98, Eldorado touring coupe. Man, that motherfucker was clean as hell. I think I got pictures of it somewhere on social media. But anyway, I had this Eldorado, this Cadillac Eldorado, right? And me and this cat, this 400 something pounds, you know, we had rode from LA to Vegas together in that car, right? And it wasn't his fault, but my suspension was like just so happened to be on its way out, right, on that car. So when we ride from LA to Vegas, you know what I mean, this man 400 something pounds, so you know, we ride all the way to Vegas like this, you know. We ride to Vegas like this, you know what I mean? And so we get there, everything cool and shit like that, right? So then we parted ways in Vegas or whatever. He went his way or whatever, right? So I'm still in Vegas and I'm getting ready to go to LA. And T-Mac want to go to LA with me, right? But by this time my suspension done got worse. So I'm like, man, I don't know if we gonna make it, man. T, you got this suitcase, you know what I mean? And you ride in the car, man, like my suspension. Oh, matter of fact, I think T-Mac had a bitch too. Or I had a bitch or something. But this shit was funny as yeah, no, matter of fact, I had a bitch. I had a bitch riding with me. And T-Mac wanted to ride with us to LA, right? And I'm telling T, man, like, man, P, my suspension fucked up, man. You can't ride, man. You got this suitcase on top of that, man. Like, you know, we probably ain't gonna make it if you ride, man. And he, you would have to know T-Mac to know his voice. He was like, nigga, you talking about I can't ride because of the suspension. He was like, he was like, man, you let that nigga ride with you from LA to Vegas, and he and he bigger than me and the bitch. Oh man, it took everything in me to not die laughing when T-Mac told me that shit. He was like, man, talking about I can't ride. You let that nigga ride with you from LA to Vegas, and he bigger than me and the bitch. Oh man, I miss T-Mac, man. I hope he all right wherever he at. But P had me dying laughing. I think if I can remember correctly too, I think I ended up letting T ride with me, because it's hard to argue with him after that. You know what I mean? But once I got back to LA, I went and got my suspension fixed and all that type of shit, and it was cool. Yeah, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure T-Mac did ride. I think I did let him ride with me, man. Cause it's like when he say that, you know, it's hard to argue with a nigga, man. He bigger than me and the bitch. You know what I mean? Like, how you gonna argue with that, man? And me and that nigga, we did ride like this all the way to Vegas. You know what I mean? From LA, that's like a 3.5 hour ride, man. Just imagine yourself 3.5 hours you ride with your nigga and he 400 something pounds and y'all like this. You know what I mean? Woo, shit. But yeah, man. But anyway, back to him and the bitch. You know, I know he's not pleasing her in the bedroom, bro. You 400 something pounds. So on the real, this is just a pimp mind, right? I'm gonna do my best to put myself in his position. If I'm 400 and something pounds and I got this little bitch, you know, she knows she fine. She knows she got a body out this world. She knows she is a sexy little chocolate bitch, right? And I'm 400 and something pounds, right? And this bitch is home for me, paying me every day. And she just so happens to, you know, come across this weed, man, and one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, she having fun with the weed man in the bedroom. The weed man taking her down, right? And she liked the way the weed man is taking her down in the bedroom, right? Me, with my pimp mind, I'm gonna pull the weed man to the side and be like, hey, man, my nigga, good looking out. Man, whatever you doing up in there, bro, keep doing that. You know what I mean? Because this bitch still paying the hell out of me, and she's buying weed from you, so you making money, and you get to have fun with the bitch. Everybody is winning. I'm happy because the bitch is paying me. She's happy because she get weed and pipe from you, and you happy because you get twat and money from the bitch. So everybody is winning. My nigga, good looking out, man. Keep on doing that. That's how I'm gonna be thinking. Because I know I can't do to her what the weed man is doing to her. I can't do it. You know what I mean? I never seen the weed man, but I guarantee you he wasn't no 400 something pounds. I'm pretty sure of that. But like I said, me with my pimp mind, that's how I'm gonna think. Like, damn, okay, this bitch done found somebody, you know what I mean, that's pleasing her. You know, she's happy. I'm happy because she still, even though she, you know, getting took down by the weed man, she still want to pay me every day. Okay, cool. The weed man happy, so he probably ain't gonna go nowhere. You know, he liked the way the bitch throwing it back on him and all that, and you know, her head game is right and all that. Okay, cool. The weed man happy, she happy, I'm happy, everybody is winning. We just gonna keep it cool. Right? But he disrupts the whole situation by firing the bitch because she fucking on the weed man. You tripping, man. Like, when you 400 something pounds, you should be glad that she's fucking on the weed man and she ain't left you for the weed man, because that shit happens in the game too. A lot of times a bitch will just be like, man, this nigga 400 something pounds, like, yeah, he pimping and everything, but shit, man, fuck all that. I could take the weed man to the Build a Pimp workshop and I could turn him into a pimp. Like, all this, you know, fuck all that. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of bitches gonna be thinking. But she was still paying him while she was getting took down by the weed man. So, you know, he just fucked the whole vibe up for everybody, you know? Because by her not having no pimping in her life, you know, she ain't gonna be hoeing the same. She ain't gonna be trapping the same. So her 3-0 phone is gonna be thrown off. You know what I mean? Now the weed man, instead of her buying weed from him, you know, every day, she ain't got it every day because she ain't trapping like that, because she ain't getting pimped on. So now the weed man money is funny, you know, and because the money is tight, you know, it's frustration going on. So when it's frustration going on, you know, they don't want to have fun the way they was having fun before. Before the money was flowing cool. She trapping, you know, she running it up, buying weed every day. You know, he getting paid every day. She get her weed every day. So they want to, you know, take each other down, all that type of shit. But when he fired a bitch, man, he just messed it up for everybody. You dig? When he could have kept rocking. He could have kept on rocking with her. You dig? So that's just an example of, you know, a situation kind of like cheating, where, you know, this is still a good bitch. So you don't have to fire her just because she cheating. It remind me of some more. The comedian, a lot of y'all probably familiar with some more. You know, she's a comedian. And I remember she said a joke back in the days where she came home and she caught her man in bed with this other woman. And she was tripping at first, but her man was like, well, hold on, baby, hold on. And he was like, you know, remember when I was able to do such and such for you? And she like, yeah. And he was like, remember when I was able to buy you this and take you there and do that and that and that and that? And she like, yeah. And the boyfriend was like, well, baby, she's the reason why I'm able to do that. So Samora was like, well, shit, baby, get her a blanket and put a blanket on her so she make sure she don't get cold. You know what I mean? You know, that's how you supposed to handle that type of situation, man. Like, for real. You dig? But people just be ready to throw people away for the slightest little mistake, man, the slightest little thing and rub them the wrong way. And as I've said many times before, certain people are just worth staying down for or staying down with. You dig? Because I guarantee you my partner that was 400 something pounds, I guarantee you that after that bitch was gone, he wished he didn't fire her motherfucking ass. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you he had them thoughts of, man, I should have just let her keep on. Or he could have did that. He could have, you know, he a cross-country pimp. He could have sent the bitch somewhere else. He could have, you know, even though she probably would have found another weed man and been taking him down too. But instead of just firing the bitch, you know, she ain't set you up. You know, she ain't do none of that type of shit. She ain't tell on you. She ain't set you up to get robbed or hurt or nothing like that. She running it up and handing it over to you every day. Man. And see, you know, even when it come to boyfriends and shit like that, you know, a dude will be mad at a chick for cheating, but you know, you don't look the same as when y'all first got together. You know what I mean? You done put on some pounds and let yourself go. You know, and the same thing with a woman. You know, a bitch will get mad at her boyfriend for cheating on her, but you know, the shit that you used to do in the bedroom, now you be having an attitude. You don't want to do that. You know what I mean? You was giving up the washing machine in the beginning. Now you don't want to give up the washing machine. You know, now you get attitude when it come time to do that. And when the man go find the washing machine somewhere else, now you mad. Can't be mad, man. Sylvia says, but why folks just won't say that in the beginning? Let me know what we doing. Don't have me looking a fool. What part you talking about, Sylvia? The weed man gonna think he pimping and act like he knocking. Yeah, you got some weed man that'll do that. You know what I mean? You got some weed man that'll try to act like, you know, just because they know that this is a hoe. They might try to, you know, trade their weed man hat for a pimp hat, all that type of shit. But to my understanding, this weed man wasn't on none of that. You know what I mean? He was just happy that he was able to take her down when he wanted to and make some money selling weed to her. Sylvia. She said, that's crazy. I ain't fucked the weed man and pay for the weed, shaking my head. That's crazy. Yeah, I know what you mean. But, hey, man, you know, it was all good. Everybody was winning. You did. Oh, don't cheat. Just tell me what's up. Yeah, I feel what you're saying, but some people just, some people might not know that you're cool with it like that. You know? And then, you know, see, this is the thing too, just being all the way real. You have some women that'll act like they cool with that, but then when they actually faced with it, they got a problem with it. You know what I mean? You have some situations where, because, you know, pimping deal with that shit all the time. You know, pimping will knock a 304, let her know, like, okay, now, you know, just so you know, that I'm not your boyfriend. We not about to have no monogamous relationship. You're going to have wifeys. You know, and it ain't going to be no favoritism. You know, you're not my bottom bitch, but neither are they. I don't have a bottom bitch. And, you know, everybody's going to be treated equally and fair. And, you know, it's going to be what it is. And a bitch will act like she down with it at first, but then when she got to be around her wifeys or see her wifeys or know that I'm over here hanging out with her wifey or, you know, going shopping with the wifey or going to spend, you know, quality time with the wifey, like I'm going to eventually spend quality time with her, you know, bitches be having problems with that shit, even though they know what they signed up for. They know what it is, but, you know, they'll get jealous for one reason or another or have a problem for one reason or another, you know? So that's another reason why I would imagine that a square man might not tell a woman, you know, that he gonna be dealing with other women. And then, you know, you got some women that'll try to thug it out and act like they cool with it, but the whole time they not. And that's not good either, because if you allow that to just brew inside of you, eventually it's like a powder keg, you know, it's gonna blow. And when it blows, it's gonna be ugly. So, you know. Ray 2 say that be my thing. They say they're with some shit, and when it's time to get with it, they switch. Yeah, but see, you know, as a man, you got to understand that that's what's going to happen. Now, when you young and you ain't experienced, you know, I can understand a young man, you know, getting, you know, finding out the hard way. But as a seasoned man, you kind of got to be able to anticipate that with a woman. You know, now you got some women that really genuinely be cool with it. You know? Just like with the pimping, you got some women that genuinely be cool having wifeys and they embrace their wifeys and show love to their wifeys and be cool with them and all that. Ain't tripping on nothing. You got some women that's like that. And on the same token, in the square world, you got some women that's like, you know, okay, hey, baby, just so you know, I got other women that I deal with, and they genuinely be cool with it. Even when they have to come face to face with it and see it in real time, like knowing, like, okay, I'm not with him right now because he's over there with this other woman. You know? But see, then too, now I don't know, this is just me. And maybe again, this might just be my pimp mind. And it be kind of, you know, challenging to apply my pimp mind to square shit, right? But this just me. If I got a chick and I'm dealing with other women, you know, I kind of would expect her to deal with other men or be okay with her dealing with other men. As long as everybody being safe and protected, ain't no problem, right? But you got dudes that will set these terms with a woman. Okay, I'm going to be with other women. And then, you know, not be okay with her being with other men. I don't know. Then again, you know, you got women, you got all different types of women. You got some women that, you know, are okay with being with just you while you being with other women. But I don't know. I just, you know, like, again, I know human beings ain't shit. Niggas ain't shit, bitches ain't shit. So I'm just expecting this woman to, at some point in time, find another man to have fun with if I'm out here having fun with a bunch of other women. You dig? That's just the way I see it. So You know, even though I might not tell her it's okay. You know, I might just tell her, look, this what I got going on. You know, you ain't gonna be the only woman in my life. You know, but you know, we gonna be cool. I ain't gonna let other women come between what me and you got going on. But at the same time, you know, you gotta respect what me and other women got going on at the same time. Now, I might not tell her, or we might not come to those terms that, you know, she had the liberty to go be with other guys. But if I just so happen to find out that she's with other guys, I ain't gonna be mad, because it's like, shit, I got other people too, shit. So I don't know, but again, like I said, that might just be my pimp mind, and it's kind of like, it's definitely unconventional for me to apply my pimp mind to some square shit. So, you know, most squares ain't probably gonna see it the way I see it. Yeah. Sharif say that's the power of marijuana. That ain't knocking. The sex is just access to the source of the addiction. Weed men are notorious tricks, whether it's gas or cash. Yeah. Yeah, that's real. I don't know, man. Me personally, I ain't never well, nowadays I don't even like dealing with chicks that smoke weed, because it'd be a lot of characteristics that come with that. But before, when I really didn't have a problem with a chick smoking weed, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I never really had them type of situations where, you know, a chick just dealt exclusively with a weed man on her own, and I never. Yeah, I don't recall having that type of situation. And then especially after all these dispensaries popped up, really ain't no need for a weed man now. But yeah, usually if a chick smoked weed, like I've had several situations where, you know, I had a weed man that'll deliver, you know, shit like that. Or me and her will pull up to the weed man and, you know, shit like that. But like her just dealing with the weed man one-on-one, I don't know. I never really dealt with that. So. And sometimes it don't even be like, back to my partner, you know, like the bitch might not even been attracted to the weed man like that. It's just that the weed man don't weigh 400 pounds. So, you know, you got to consider that type of shit too, man. That's why I said, if I was 400 pounds and my 304 come to find out was, you know, getting busy with the weed man, I'm going to go congratulate the weed man and tell him, you know, whatever he doing, keep that shit up. Long as this hoe happy got her weed and she going to get my money every day, man, shit. If it ain't broke, I ain't gonna try to fix it. But I ain't gonna be 400 pounds neither, though. So I'm just saying, if I was 400 pounds, that's how I'm gonna look at it. I said, why cheat? Just be real about what you're doing. Yeah, I seen when you said that. But like I said, you know, some dudes will be real in a chick. Not saying you, Sylvia, but you know, you just got to understand from a guy's perspective. A lot of women will say that they're cool if a guy is just open and upfront about it. But then when it comes time to face the music of that, a lot of chicks, you know, they don't hold up their end of the bargain. They don't, you know, they end up having a problem. Right? So, yeah, it's much easier said than done. You dig? Reading these comments, y'all. Right, I'm with giving what I'm asking for. Reciprocity is yin and yang. Yeah, but Ray Tools, just as well as I do, a lot of dudes ain't like that, man. A lot of dudes will have, 5 different bitches that they, getting down with. But if they find out that she fucking with somebody else, they gonna be in their feelings about it. You know what I mean? For real. A lot of dudes just can't picture they woman laying down with another man. Right? But me, I'm the pimping, so that shit don't bother me. But most square dudes, they gonna have a problem with that. Me and Gardner on Wallace says, too many renegades trying to ear hustle on how to possibly get more without a pimp in their lives right now. Oh yeah, it's it's a lot of that shit going on, man. Like I've said before, as far as the game go, right? It was once upon a time that pimping was the most attractive thing to a woman in the game. But now it's a lot of other things that are as attractive or more attractive to a woman in the game than the pimping, right? Because women in the game, their mindset is different. They weren't attracted to tricks like they are now. They wasn't loving on tricks like they do now. So, because women are so attracted to tricks and trick friendly nowadays, a lot of women think it's better to have a sugar daddy than some pimping. A lot of women think it's better to, be in a relationship with a rapper or a comedian or an actor or athlete or something like that than the pimping. But a lot of them women, they end up high and dry in the end. It's cool when this rapper, athlete, entertainer, or what have you is rocking with you and, paying for everything and taking you on trips and shit like that. But what you're not thinking about is the end of the situation. How is this going to turn out? What's most likely going to happen is he going to get tired of your ass way faster than you get tired of him, taking you everywhere and paying for everything. He going to get tired of you quick. And because he has status and money and all that shit, it's going to be a whole bunch of women just like you in his mind, like, shit, I could have a whole bunch of her. Like, another woman going to come along and replace you, and you're going to be right back to square one. So, Lord Jefferson says, do you have the stomach? And then Sylvia says, only a pea can stomach it. Yeah, you say that, Sylvia, but, it's a lot of dudes that call themselves peas that they can't stomach it. Waterson 10, where you been, man? Ain't seen you in a minute. Good looking with the $5 holla. How are you able to not be fazed by your woman being with another man? Well, I don't know, man. I just like from a young age, even before I got in the game, man, I just never been jealous. I don't know what that jealousy shit feels like, man. I really don't. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just in tune with myself, and I don't ever worry about what another man is doing that I'm not doing, and all that type of shit. I just, because that's what I believe fuels jealousy. Like if you think about your woman being with another man, you probably thinking to yourself like, damn, what is he doing with her that I'm not doing? How is he pleasing her in a way that I'm not pleasing her? Like, where am I falling short that he's not? And all that type of shit, If he make more money than you, that's going to make you feel some type of way. If he's taller than you, that might make you feel some type of way. If he's in better shape than you or more handsome than you, you know, or got a different eye color than you, you know, or, you know, dress better than you know, all these different things might make you feel a certain type of way. But I just don't know how to be jealous, you know. And then if you don't know anything about the man, your curiosity is going to drive you crazy. If you find out she messing with another dude, but you don't know nothing about him, you just going to assume that he's outdoing you in every category, right? He might be a short, fat, old, bald motherfucker with, you know, that's just paying her. But, you know, you over there thinking like, damn, what he got going on that I ain't got going on. I don't know. I ain't never had them type of thoughts, man. But see, it has a lot to do with self-esteem. Like I've said before, back to the self-esteem thing, man. I guess maybe that's what it is, man. My self-esteem, of course, it gets more and more fortified as I become older and wiser. But I've always had a solid self-esteem. I've always known that I was valuable. I've always known that I was important. And, you know, I guess that's the main thing that helps me not be worried about, you know, or be fazed by a woman of mine being with another man. So, and then, you know, once I was like that before I got in the game, but once I got in the game, I really just like, really ain't fazed by that type of shit being in the game. So, yeah, I don't have them type of issues, man. Jody Killer says, so the key is to be in love with yourself. That's part of it, right? But you don't want to be, it's a fine line, right? You don't want to be conceited and full of yourself, right? Because a lot of people use the term conceited or conceit in the wrong context, right? Conceited is basically when you place a value upon yourself that this improper, that don't fit with you, right? Like when you think more of yourself than what you actually are. That's conceit. That's somebody being conceited. When they think more highly of themselves than what they are. A lot of people think being conceited is just like being into yourself. No, that's not being conceited. Being conceited is thinking more highly of yourself than what you should. That's conceit, right? So, but yeah, you do want to be in love with yourself and be, you know, be having an active love affair with yourself, but you don't want to be conceited at the same time. You don't want, because you know one thing conceit will do is that it'll have you looking at things in the wrong perspective. It'll have you, you know, it'll have you looking at things the wrong way and therefore moving the wrong way. So, but yeah, you know, loving yourself is that's that self-esteem. Yeah, you know, and I don't like that term either, Iman, narcissist, because that's another worn out ass term. But yeah, you could say narcissist as well. You don't want to be a narcissist. But a lot of people misinterpret, again, narcissism with having a high a lot of people misinterpret narcissism with having a high self-esteem. So, yeah. Right, when you conceited, you still in an unsure energy. Yeah. Because when you're sure of yourself, you don't have to place a value upon yourself that's higher than what it actually is. When you're sure of yourself, you understand your value. You in tune with yourself. So Ray Gunn, good looking with the $2 holla. Glory to the game. Never have understood jealousy. Yeah, that's because you a guy that loves yourself, man. You a guy that got your self-esteem intact, man. So yeah, I'm the same way. But as we know, there's a lot of guys out there that struggle with that. And it's understandable. It's definitely understandable. But it's not right. It's something that you definitely want to work on if you do have those types of issues. Jody Killer says, in the square world, dudes are more insecure about superficial things like rather a man is taller, better looking, make more money, etc. Hey, Jody Killer, I'm going to say something that, a lot of people ain't going to say. That ain't just in the square world, man. In the pimp game, it's a lot of dudes that got them same issues, man. In the pimp game, it's a lot of dudes that, claim to be the pimping, but are like that. They jealous of another pimp or another man in the game because he might be taller, better looking, make more money, whatever the case may be. You dig? I mean, Sinful is a prime example. You know how many people in the game, and Sinful been gone 3.5 years almost. You know how many people in the game are still jealous of Sinful right now? Still. And he's not even here physically anymore to be jealous of, but they still jealous of Sinful right now. And Sinful wasn't like super flashy. Yeah, he dressed nice and shit like that, and like to have nice things in his crib and shit like that. But like Sinful wasn't like a super flashy guy. And when he did his videos on YouTube, he didn't have no, luxurious background or none of that type of shit. He'd be sitting in an empty ass room in Scottsdale. And guys would still be jealous of him. Even when he was, overweight, 300 something pounds, guys were still jealous of Sinful. Right? So, and these is guys in the game. So I don't want you to think that just because somebody is claimed to be a pimp and they got bitches paying them every day, that they just ain't jealous, man. Nah, it'd be a whole bunch of jealousy going on in the game. Right? And when it come to Sinful, it was guys with more money than Sinful that was jealous of him. Definitely guys with more material things because, like I said, Sinful wasn't like really a real flashy dude, right? And that's something that would make guys jealous because dudes would be like, man, I got all the jewelry, I got the cars, I got all the designer. Like, man, how is it that, this nigga over here, this fat ass nigga in this empty ass room, man, like how this nigga still got, all the attention, man? Why everybody checking for him, man? Like, what about me? what about me, man? I got the jewelry, man, like I got the cars, man, I got these, man, come on, man. Like, I got the money, man, like, man, why everybody checking for him, man? Shit, he fat ass nigga in the empty room, man, like, come on, man. You know what I mean? They hated that shit, man. They hated the fact that bro commanded attention just being himself. You know what I mean? He wasn't no fraudulent motherfucker. He didn't have to pretend to be something that he wasn't, man. Like, people cannot stand that shit. So, yeah, it definitely be jealousy in the game, man, for sure. That is why, listen, man, I'm going to tell you something else that a lot of people in the game ain't going to tell you. Hey, man, I don't give a damn what nobody say. I'll go as far as to say 90%, at least 90% of the guys in the game, when you call them to serve them for that bitch, they gonna have a problem with it. They gonna talk crazy to you. They gonna threaten you. They might even do something to you or try to do something to you over that bitch. 90% of the guys in the game actively checking traps every day, they gonna have a problem when they get that phone call. They gonna be in their chest when they get that phone call. And whoever disagree with that is probably one of them guys that's gonna be in their chest when they get that phone call. But those of us very, very few guys who ain't tripping when we get that phone call, we know the real. You know what I mean? And, you know, you got all these dudes that, you know, do all these pimpish things, and they dress fly and they talk smooth and slick and everything. And, you know, they got a whole bunch of, you know, pimp etiquette and all of that. But the most pimpish thing that you will ever see in the game is a pimp take that phone call with class and maturity, in respect, in integrity and dignity. That's the most pimpish thing that you ever gonna see. You know, not breaking the bitch for $20 million in a planet and some stars. You know what I mean? Not, you know, having, you know, 1,000 toes at one time. All that shit is cool. But the most pimpish thing that you ever gonna see a pimp do is take that phone call and be smooth. Period. Trust me, I know, because it's a lot of dudes that I got love for. It's a lot of dudes that, you know, I rock with, man, and, you know, but they just can't take that phone call. They gonna be in their feelings, man. They gonna be ready to fight. And see, that be the thing, man. A lot of dudes, man, they get attached to these bitches to a point where they like the bedroom game, they like the money, and they get so caught up and wrapped up in that they don't ever think about when that's gonna come to an end. It's going to come to an end. You know what I mean? Now, you ain't got no problem if the bitch, you know, leave the game and then go get a boyfriend. She leave you, go back to her mama's house, and then she end up getting a square job, and, you know, she meet this dude at her square job. She might work at Pizza Hut. She a delivery driver, and then she meet a coworker at Pizza Hut. Now that's her boyfriend and all that type of shit. You ain't got no problem when the bitch do that. But boy, if that bitch go pay another pimp, you ready to get violent. Crazy. You know? But yeah, man, if you don't keep that in mind that, you know, all good things come to an end, and when the bitch come in the entrance, she looking for the exit. Okay, it's over there. That window right there, when the time is right, yeah, that little bathroom window that's like this big, I could fit through that. Yeah, I could fit through there. That's where I'm going to go. When it's time to go, I'm going to go out that window right there. That's how the bitch come in. The bitch come in the entrance looking for the exit. You know what I mean? And she might not consider taking that exit right away. She might not take the exit for 2 weeks. She might not take the exit for 6 months. She might not take the exit for a year. But trust and believe, she got, if she stick around for a year, she probably got a few exit routes. You know what I mean? Depending on the circumstance, I'm going to climb through that little bitty bathroom window, but, you know, I might sneak out the garage door, you know what I mean? Depending on what the situation is, you know, or, you know, I might go out the back door, you know, like, bitch got a few options in her mind by then. But, you know, dudes don't consider that. They get wrapped up in the bedroom game, they get wrapped up in the money, and they don't think about that all of this is eventually going to come to an end. And that end can come at any given time, because this is a bitch, and bitches move based on how they feel, and she might feel like leaving at any given time. Everything could be perfect. The bitch could be, you know, she could have the condo that she want. You done pimped on her accordingly, and she done hold up. Y'all done pimped and hold up for everything. She got the condo that she want, the car that she want, the person, all the shoes that she want, all the designer clothes that she want. You know what I mean? She got her own bank account with 5,000 in it, you know, and she's still tearing you off every day. And you know, y'all going on trips, y'all having fun with each other. Everything is perfect. And the bitch will leave like that. I done been through it. That's how I can talk about it. And I've seen my partners go through it. That's how I could talk about it. You know? And a bitch will leave all of that because she will have all of that shit going on. But that's, like I've said before, that shit might not make her feel good. You know? But a nigga staying at the Siegel Suites with a bunch of tattoos and dreadlocks and, you know, he a young wild nigga, that nigga know how to make her feel good. All this luxury shit that you got the bitch going on with, that shit might not make her, she likes it, but that might not make her feel good. And at the end of the day, a bitch gonna go with what makes her feel good. She'll throw everything away just to feel good right now. So if that nigga at the Siegel Suites with the box Chevy, they got, you know, side panels, this, you know, 4 different colors, but it got 20 foes on it, you know what I mean? And he got some beat in the back of that motherfucker, man. And you know, he a little hustler, you know. He sell his weed, he make his little money, you know what I mean? And then he dangerous. You know, he wild. And, you know, the bitch just like that nigga, man. It be like that. For real. And any man in the game, especially as the pimping, if you don't understand that and consider that, you tripping. A lot of these dudes is tripping. Like I said, 90%. I guarantee you 90% of the guys in the game, they got a bitch handed over to them. If they get a phone call about that bitch, they gonna be tripping. They gonna be in their feelings. You know what I mean? Or they might not be the type that's like gon', you know, threaten the pimping that's serving them and want to get violent. They might not be like that. But they the type that like when like I done said before, man, when the bitch pack her suitcase up, you know what I mean? She packed her pimping away in the suitcase with her. And when she left, she took her pimping in the suitcase with her. You know what I mean? Now he left at the house home alone with no pimping. And he just sitting at the crib, you know, like with his head down and shit like that, playing a bunch of, you know, slow, sad R&B songs and shit. And, you know, cause me, I done been that pimp partner, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have too, man. Those of y'all that's in the game, man. I done been that pimp partner, man, that every time you talk to pimping on the phone, every time y'all get in the car and ride somewhere, every time y'all go chill somewhere, man, all he want to talk about is this bitch. And the bitch over there paying somebody else, you know what I mean, having fun with somebody else, carrying on with her life, but he just over here just won't stop talking about this bitch. You know what I mean? You trying to line him up with bitches like, yeah, P, this bitch was on my line, man. She over there where you at, man. Like, you know, I can't get over there to her right now, but she down the street from you, man. Go pull up on that bitch, man. You know, she got a trap for you. I already called her and told her, you know, my partner finna pull up on her. She said, okay, I'm waiting for him. He ain't even gonna pull up on the bitch because he's still thinking about the one that he can't get over that's in the rear view mirror, you know what I mean? And she done moved on with her life. You got them type of dudes in the game. Sharif say, AP, you know in Atlanta, had my ride shot up over abroad in 2010. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I done been to some fucked up situations over abroad too, man. But see, at least in my situation, I know I was wrong. Because I told y'all, you know, the live video that I made years ago that's still on the channel right now, I should have died in Ohio, where me and Smooth was out there. They pistol whipped Smooth, broke his jaw, stomped both of us out, had us both bleeding to a pulp. All of that was over a bitch. But see, I was doing too much. I was too comfortable. I was staying in the bitch house and all that. I was on some Rodney shit. Only difference is it wasn't no baby boy. It wasn't a baby in the situation. I never thought about that shit like that. But I was on some Rodney shit. Like, you know how Rodney was just in this bitch house, kicking it. You know what I mean? Only difference is Rodney wasn't getting no money. I was getting money. But I was laying up in this bitch's house knowing that she had a man. Her man knew that I was there. You know, I knew he didn't like me. I knew he was on bullshit, and I still was just laying up in this bitch's house. You know what I mean? I was tripping. And I had my nigga over there. We both laying up in this bitch's house. You know what I mean? Like, only difference was it wasn't no baby involved in the situation. Like, they didn't have no kids together or nothing like that. But other than that, man, I was on some Rodney shit, man. I'm just up in this bitch's house. I'm eating her food and shit like that. I'm giving her a little money to let me stay there and shit. And I'm out there just to get some money. I'm hustling and shit. But I'm in this bitch's house. I know she got a man. Her man know that me and my homeboy is in her house. We ain't from this motherfucker. We from California. We in Ohio. Just think we finna just be in this bitch house. I was tripping. I'm young and stupid. You know what I mean? And yeah. You know, so I kind of brought that on myself. As an older, wiser man, looking back at it now, I know that I was out of line. I was tripping. You know what I mean? I asked for that. But so as a man on the other end of the spectrum, like as the man who ain't tripping, you kind of got to know how to read them type of situations too, man. Like, you kind of got to know, you know, okay, she got a man over there, like he gonna be in his feelings. He gonna be ready to get violent, man. Is it really worth dealing with all of that? You know, just to be involved with this chick, man. Is it really worth dealing with this nigga that want to be on goon time with me over this bitch? You know, most cases it ain't. Most cases, man, it is not worth all of that. You know, I'm going to let him be on goon time by himself or with somebody else, but not with me, man. I'm cool. Pimp ain't on that. Me and Gardner on Wallace says, did she not fall in love with the automatic game, but rather fell in love with the male that made her feel good? Turnout game question. Yeah, sometimes you have situations like that. Me and Gardner on Wallets. You know, like me, my objective is always to turn a 304 out to the game instead of on to myself. And see, that's another reason why a lot of these dudes be in their feelings too. Because, you know, if they dealing with a turnout or a potential turnout, they'll turn the broad on to themselves instead of out to the game. Right? See, me, I want to turn her out to the game because I want her to love the game more than she loved me. You know, I want her to be down for the game more than she just being down with me. Right? And that's, if everybody in the game had that mindset, then, you know, it'll be a much better quality of individuals in the game going around. Because if I turn a chick out to the game instead of on to me, right, that means when she leave me, and she's going to leave me eventually, but when she does leave me, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now, she going to want to go get with some more of it. because I turned her out to the game instead of just on to me. If I turned her on to me, when she leave me, she might want to go do some square shit, you know? But not only by me turning her out to the game and she gonna want to go get with some more of it, but when she do go get with some more of it, he gonna be glad and he's gonna know off top of me like, okay, she done been pimped on. Okay, yeah. And he gonna thank Pimping. He gonna, buy Pimping a drink, and they gonna chop game, and they gonna become friends the way pimps are supposed to become friends, through the bitch. That's how it's supposed to go. But 90% of these dudes, they in their chest, man. They right here with it. They in their chest, man. Prince William, good looking with the $10 holla. Years ago, someone said, if you know why she left, then you're not pimping. But if you don't know why she left, then it's just a mystery. Is that more or less true? Blessings. Nah. Cause I can think of quite a few situations where I know why the bitch left. How about you knowing that the bitch left because you're pimping? How about that? If you know why she left, then that means you ain't pimping or you not pimping. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Because sometimes beyond a shadow of a doubt that the reason why the bitch left is because you're pimping. Or because of the way that you pimped. That's why she left. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. And then if you don't know why she left, then it's just a mystery. I can't think of a particular situation, but maybe when I was real young in the game, I'm pretty sure that happened to me. I just can't put my finger on a particular situation, but I'm sure that's done happen to me where a bitch left me and I didn't know why. But 9 times out of 10, man, I know why the bitch left. 9 times out of 10, I know why the bitch left. And 9 times out of 10 is because I was mashing, I was pimping, and the bitch didn't like the way I was pimping, But or she was on some square shit. She thought she was gonna have a boyfriend and was sorely mistaken when she had a pimp. And that's why she left. Man, it's a million different reasons why a bitch might leave, but 9 times out of 10, I know why the bitch left. Bitch might have thought she was gonna get chopped and wanted to bypass the chopping, and that's why she left. Even though she probably wasn't even gonna get chopped physically, she probably was just gonna get chopped verbally. But she didn't want to get her head cut, so she left because of that. You know what I mean? I'd have had them type of situations, man. It's a whole bunch of reasons why a bitch might leave. Northside Crazy T, good looking with the $2 holla. Thought on semen retention. Do you do it? You believe? I guess right now you could say I'm doing semen retention because I ain't going there right now. But I hear a lot about that. I hear a lot of people talking about that, but I don't know, because whether I'm practicing semen retention or not, I'm still gonna be effective with what I need to do. I'm still gonna handle my business just the same. I'm gonna have the same type of energy, the same type of effort, all that type of stuff, That's just me, though. I mean, everybody's different, but I can't say that I disagree with it or that I agree with it. I haven't measured. I ain't hooked myself up to some wires and tubes and measured, my performance and things with semen retention versus without semen retention. I don't know. I can't really say. Southwesternism, what's up with it, man? I see you. Ashley Banks says, y'all be listening to any old goofball about this game. Stop. Yeah, man, I don't know, man. I think it's all a matter of perspective, too. You know, perspective is powerful. Like I say all the time, how you see is how you're going to be. So when it comes to that semen retention shit, if you believe that it does something, then it probably does. But if you don't believe that it don't do something, it probably don't. You know, me, that shit, I don't know. Basically, the bottom line, as far as I see it, like with myself personally, I don't think it's making a difference with me, you know. But then, too, there's something that I got to say as well, right? Speaking of semen retention. Now, if the only time you're releasing semen is with a woman and you're not releasing semen on your own and overusing yourself, then yeah, I can see how semen retention could be helpful, right? Because you got a lot of guys that overuse themselves by themselves, and they not overusing a woman, or they might be overusing a woman at the same time they overusing themselves, you know. But I could see that being a problem. You know, if you watching a lot of corn, as they call it, corn hub and all that shit, if you're doing a lot of that and you're going overboard with it, then I can see how that could be a problem, you know, versus, you know, retaining yourself and not going there by yourself or with the bitch, you know. I could see how that could be helpful for sure. But if you just, you know, like I said, if the only time you release is with a woman and you're not indulging in, you know, masturbation and all that type of shit, I don't really see the difference. And then see, that's what a lot of people don't talk about either. I hear a lot of people talking about semen retention and all that, but, you know, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about how healthy sex is for you. I don't know the numbers exactly off the top of my head, but if I'm not mistaken, you know, people that have a healthy sex life have a tendency to live longer. You know I done read that in several places, but like I said, I don't know what the statistics are, but, you know, supposedly people that have a healthy sex life have a tendency to live longer. And I believe that. I can see that, right? Because one, you exercising, it's physical activity, you exercising. You know, that's if you ain't 400 pounds, you know what I mean? If you ain't 400 pounds like my partner, you know, then you know, you getting some exercise in, man. But yeah, man, if you having fun, you know, you getting some exercise in, you feeling good, you know, you expressing love with somebody that you probably most likely feel, you know, some type of way about in a good way. So I can see how, you know, an active love life can lead to longevity in life. It makes sense to me. Motor culture, you crazy. The normal way that two people combined in one person. Right, you can't be that, you know what I mean? Yeah, and then too, like, that's just everybody different, you know. Now you got, and this is another myth that certain pimps in the game have said, and I don't know, maybe it's not a myth with them, but that ain't me. But you know, you got certain guys that'll say, yeah, you know, I don't I don't be trying to you know, have a bunch of fun in the bedroom with the bitch, man. She, you know, she could do that with the trick, or, you know, I can't compete with the trick, you know, so I ain't gonna try to, you know, outdo the trick in the bedroom and all that type of shit. That's not me. I'm pretty sure I'm outdoing the trick in the bedroom. You know, because see, this is what you gotta understand, right? Even if the trick is more, the trick might be in better shape than you, which most of the time it ain't. You know, a lot of tricks ain't, you know. But let's just say, you know, the bitch might come across a trick that's in better shape than you, know, more physically fit than you, more handsome than you, whatever, right? If this is my hoe, I'm going to outdo that, you know, because he doesn't know her. See, that's the part, you know, people don't talk about when it comes to being intimate in the bedroom, right? When you know somebody, it's going to be hard for a stranger to compete with you with that somebody, right? Because he don't know what she likes. He ain't took the time to learn her body and learn her mind and all that type of shit. You know, like, he's a stranger and this is a transaction. He's paying her. You know, so no, the trick, he's not going to be able to outdo me. I know this bitch. You know what I mean? I done took the time to learn her. I've been dealing with her for a minute, you know? Like, I know how to please her. I know her spot. And I can hit that motherfucker whenever I feel like it. You know, I know how to scratch her itch. You know, this trick, no matter how physically attractive she may be to him, he don't know her the way I know her. So all that bullshit about, you know, I can't compete with the trick, man, that ain't me. You know what I mean? But I say all that to say I like to please, man. So that's why you ain't gonna never catch Freeze being 400 pounds or even 300 pounds or any of that type of shit. I like to please. You know, I'm not one of them type of dudes that get pleasure in a bedroom with a woman and it don't matter if she's getting pleasure or not. Like, no, that pleases me. That makes me more pleased knowing that I'm pleasing this woman. So, yeah. Trick, on the other hand, he don't really care if he pleasing her or not. He gonna get pleased regardless because he paying for this shit. So he like, shit, I'm gonna get my money's worth. Shit, it don't matter if he pleasing her or not, you know? You know, a lot of people just say shit to sound good. And it sounds good for a pimp to say, yeah, man, you know, I can't compete with the trick, man. You know, I leave that up to the trick to, you know, please her and do all that shit, man. I can't compete with that. Or if we in the bedroom, man, I'm gonna get mine quick. So she better get hers before I get mine, because if she don't get hers before I get mine, then she just ain't gonna get hers. She gonna be asked out. Yeah, I don't see it that way. She might get hers a few times before I get mine. You dig? So that's the way I see it, man. Motor culture, you crazy. He bigger than me and the bitch. Oh, man. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up, man. You know, we chopped some good game today, as usual. And, you know, a pimp. I went to the gym at 5:30 this morning. Had a good workout. Was out the gym by 8 o'clock. Man. So I started the day off good today. Went took me a little nap after that because I was kind of beat. And I ain't ate nothing since yesterday. Well, no, I take that back. I ate some sardines today. But about to go eat me a whole bunch of chicken. About to go eat a whole bunch of chicken. I'm about to eat enough chicken to feed probably 2 Colombian families. Cause that's one thing about Colombia, right? They be tripping off of me, right? Like if I go to a restaurant and eat, which I'm gonna do now, cause I normally make ground chicken here at the crib. But when I went to the supermarket this morning, they didn't have no ground chicken. So I'm eating by myself. But whenever I do that, the people at the restaurant be looking at me crazy because they like, damn, this man gonna eat all this chicken by himself? Because the amount of chicken that I eat by myself, that's enough to feed a whole family out here, you know, because these people are small. Most Colombians are like slim. You know, you don't really, I mean, you got overweight people out here, but they not the majority at all. It ain't like the U.S. where you just see a whole bunch of overweight motherfuckers everywhere you go. Not out here, people are not overweight like that. One, because people walk here a lot more than they do in the United States. People are a lot more physically active. Like I was saying yesterday, man, I be seeing old people like 80-something years old, probably some of them 90-something years old, be outside walking and shit. So it's that. And then 2, their portions are small. They don't eat big portions of food out here like that. You know what I mean? You can get a meal that'll cost you like $15 or $20 in the States. You can get a meal like that here for probably about $4 or $5. And then some restaurants you can go to, you can get a small meal for like $1 or less than $1. For real, like my partner put me up on this spot, little Paisa homie that I got out here. He took me to the spot one day, and he ordered some eggs. I think he got 2 eggs and some rice and a juice, and all of that shit was like 80 cents. You know, it's unheard of in the United States to get a meal at a restaurant for 80 cents. This motherfucker got some shit, and that shit was about 80 cents. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, damn, God forbid, but if I was ever in Colombia leaking, if it ever got too bad for me, you know what I mean, and I couldn't pay for my gym membership, they got outdoor gyms out here with weights and everything, this free at the park. So I go to the park and lift weights and do calisthenics and shit for free if I had to. If I couldn't pay for my membership, I could do that. And then they got restaurants where you can eat for less than $1. So, man, shit, you know, and they got hotel rooms for like, they got hotel rooms that you can pay for the whole night for like $8. Less than $10 for sure. Probably ain't gonna be the fanciest shit, you know what I mean? But you gonna have shelter, you know what I mean? So yeah, man. I say all that to say people out here don't eat a lot of food like that. You know what I mean? They don't eat big meals. So when they see me come in there and order the whole chicken and eat that motherfucker by myself, especially once I finish eating that shit, they be looking like, they be tripping, you know what I mean? They be like, that shit be blowing their mind. Hold on. Some supers that I didn't shout out before we get up out of here. Hassan Michaels, good looking with the $5 holla. You know, I can't do justice with the I got 5 on it like my brother. I keep saying I'm gonna get that sound bite and put it on here. I'm tripping. I gotta get that. But good looking. Thomas Clark, good looking with the $5 holla. How would you make a bitch gain back your trust if she left and came back multiple times? Now, I have allowed a chick to to leave and come back before. But okay, so one chick I know that I allowed to leave and come back before. When she left, it wasn't like a violation of my trust. You know, she just let, and she didn't like leave on some like foul shit. You know, she just left and went back to her mama's house and shit like that. And then, you know, she came back and she came correct when she came back. So we just, you know, kind of picked up where we left off. It wasn't like she did some scandalous or conniving shit when she left. And, you know, I had to position her to earn my trust again. Now, on the same token, I have allowed, you know, a bitch that left on some bullshit to come back before. And looking at it in hindsight, those situations that I could think of, I never should have let the bitch come back. Yeah, I should have never, you know, she left on some bullshit and I let her come back, and see, that's a mistake, you know, pimping be making sometimes too. Like, you know, we be thinking that if we put a price on a bitch head and she go reach that number and then come back and hand it over, that it's cool. But nah, some bitches will do that and they just ain't cool, you know? So, but it depends on the situation. It's not like a cookie cutter type of thing, man. You know, everybody is different. So you kind of got to like be able to play it by ear. But, you know, in my experience, most of the time, if they leave on some bullshit, it's best to just let them stay gone. Now, if a bitch just leave because she in her feelings or some shit like that, and, you know, then okay, cool, you dig. But, you know, some bitches be playing games. They think they're going to just be able to ping pong back and forth between these two guys as much as they want and all that type of shit. And I don't play that game neither. You dig? I told y'all the story about where, you know, I was a part of a pimp triangle that this bitch had going on. It was me and two other pimps, and this bitch was treating us like a triangle. She just was bouncing back between the three of us whenever she felt like it. The only difference was they wasn't charging the bitch to come back. I was charging the bitch to come back, and I was taking her to the barbershop when she came back, cutting her head and shit like that. But, you know, even though she was going through that, you know, the consequence in order to get back with me, I still should have never let the bitch come back. And I figured that out shortly thereafter. After going through it a couple times, I figured out that I should have never let her come back. But yeah. No side crazy T, good looking again with the $5 holla. My uncle bragged about tricking. He say, I don't get girls. You got advice? I only had 2 girls. One girl took his wallet. What you saying when you say you've only had 2 girls? Are you saying you've only been in 2 relationships, or you've only been intimate with 2 girls, or trying to understand what you mean? But your uncle bragging about tricking and, you know, one of the girls taking his wallet, you know, that just comes with the territory. Some tricks like that type of shit, man. Some tricks, and I don't know if your uncle is one of them type of dudes, or if he is one of them type of dudes, if he'll be honest about it. But you got certain tricks that, like, you know, it's like a fetish that they might have where, you know, they like a bitch to steal from them. I think I told y'all the story before. You know, one of my partners, he had this bitch that had this rich trick that was paying the shit out of her, right? And he had, and my partner, I think my partner, but anyway, whatever the case, right? She had this trick paying the shit out of her. And he had a thing where after he had been dealing with her for a while and paying the shit out of her for a while, he would have her come to his house and he would purposely leave things laying around for her to steal. He'll leave a Rolex here. He'll leave a wad of money over here. He'll just do different shit And they had that understanding, right? So one day the bitch come back to Pimping with a watch. And she like, yeah, I got this watch from such and such. And Pimpin was like, nah, bitch, what you doing stealing from him? Like, bitch, he been paying the shit out of you, whoopty whoopty whoop. Like, go take that watch back, whoopty whoopty whoop. And I think he was getting ready to go take the watch back himself, or take the bitch to go take the watch back. But, you know, eventually he came to find out that that was like a thing they had going on. Like, this trick just, he liked that type of shit. He liked, you know, playing the game of letting the bitch steal from him, you know. So, but you got different types of guys that got, you know, different types of fetishes. Not saying that's your uncle. It could be though. Don't be surprised if your uncle is one of them type of guys that like a bitch taking his wallet and shit like that. You know, they just, some dudes just get turned on by a bitch doing them wrong, you know. So, oh, you've only been in two relationships with two girls. Okay. So that's why your uncle's saying you don't get girls. Hey, but don't feel bad about that though, right? Don't feel bad about having only been in two relationships. I don't know how old you are, but whatever the case, don't feel bad about that, because, you know, it's better to be like that than to have gone through a whole bunch of bullshit situations and be a doormat to a whole bunch of different bitches, you know. You don't want to be no bitch's doormat. Or I hope you don't. I don't think you do. But you said he like basically, I guess your uncle be, you know, taking jabs at you about not getting women. But how do you feel about that though? Like, is you know, being involved with a woman something that you want but don't have going on right now because you just, you know, you don't know how to find the right type of woman, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But if you want to find a woman and just ain't having, you know, the right type of blessings come your way when it come to that, you know, like I always say, man, work on yourself first. Get yourself together. You know, make sure that you right as right as possible. You know, you ain't gonna be perfect for the perfect situation, for the perfect woman and all that. That shit don't exist. But just, you know, make sure you got yourself in order as much as possible, man. Make sure you got a healthy self-esteem, healthy love for yourself. You know, got some stability going on and all that type of shit. And he said, I no trick. Nah, I ain't encouraging you to trick. If you ain't no trick, then it's cool. You know what I mean? You ain't got to be a trick. But, and beyond that, man, just, you know, go have fun, meet people. Go out and meet some ladies, man. Go out and have some fun, meet some ladies, you know, and, you know, just roll the dice. See what happens. You might hit, you might not. But just keep them dice hot. Keep rolling the dice, man. You know, don't be a hopeless romantic neither. Don't be wearing your heart on your sleeve, man, and opening yourself up to get your heart broke back and forth. You know, but at the same time, you know, just go out and experience shit, trial and error. You dig? Making sure I got everybody back. Okay. The Bell, good looking out with the $5 holla. Love one. For that young man that received that bad advice, he was preparing you for a knocking. He wanted you unaware, and his disappearance is your mystery. Yeah. Yeah, you can say that for sure. Yeah, cause like I don't know how, if you are pimping, I don't know how you don't know the reason why the bitch left. You know what I mean? Waterson 10, good looking again with the $5 holla. How do you discover that men would pay to be with women? Or how did you discover that men would pay to be with women? That's a crazy backdrop, by the way. Oh, for sure, good looking. But as far as how I discovered that, man, shit. I kind of, even before I had an interest to be in the game, I knew that guys would pay to be with women. Like, I don't know. I can't even remember when I discovered that. I know it was at a very young age, though, man. Shit, I knew tricks existed at a young age. Like, yeah, I don't even remember when I came upon that discovery. But I know it was at an early age, you dig? You know? Brother Bill, good looking with the $2 holla. Glory to God for this game. Long live Philip Brandon Gilmore. Blessings. Appreciate you, Bill. Yeah, man. But once again, I feel like James Brown, man. Every time I try to get up off the stage, man, I gotta come back. Cause y'all keep blessing me with the love, man. Appreciate y'all, man. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing on up, man. Oh shit. It's the last bit of love that I got. But yeah, as usual, man, as always, I appreciate y'all for tuning in and tapping in with a pimp. I appreciate you for sharing this video. I appreciate all the comments, questions, input, jokes, feedback, all that good stuff. I appreciate you for subscribing. I appreciate you for hitting the bell when you subscribe. I appreciate all the super chats, the cash apps, the PayPals. I appreciate your support in every which way that you comes with it, man. Y'all already know who it is and what it is. Freeze is it. If you out in traffic moving around, please do so in a safe fashion. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to P. We out.